Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a blessed Sunday. And in the news this morning, veteran referee dies after collapsing during business house match. Veteran local referee Wilver Glenn Lamy has passed. The 48-year-old died on Saturday after collapsing during a Kingston and the St. Andrew Football Association business house semi-final fixture between Metro-Dade Security and the Seprod, which was being played at the Alpha Institute. The incident reportedly occurred 15 minutes into the encounter. Tributes have already begun to pour in for the fallen referee, with the Jamaica Football Federation calling the incident devastating. Referee Lamy was a dedicated servant of the game for many years, officiating at every level of the game locally, read the release. Mr. Lamy was a familiar face in games throughout the country. He was always ready to go in the middle in just about any competition. He served quietly and respectfully, ensuring that the games were held without disrepute. Sincere condolences to his Bogtown residents who protest the fatal police shooting. Residents of Bogtown in Rivoli, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, on Saturday mounted roadblocks to protest the fatal police shooting of two men in the community on Friday night. The incident, which occurred around 9 p.m., has ignited tension in the area. Upset residents used the debris to block the main road. In response, security forces removed the barricades, only for residents to remount them in defiance. Killed in the shooting were Marco Miller, also known as Izzy, and Alex Philippot, also known as Tubby, both of Bogtown in Rivoli. Melissa Hyatt, a relative of Philippot, expressed outrage at the death of her cousin. He was at the gambling shop, and him left and came over for some money, and then we hear somebody screaming out, and then we hear shots. Then we find out the police kill him in his house, Hyatt told the news. She alleged that the security forces entered his house, questioned him, and then shot him. We don't feel good about this. Toby is a hard worker who works for the JPS. He is not a criminal. We need justice for this. We would feel better if they had taken him down to the station and beat him up, but them kill him on his bed in the house, she claimed. Police, however, reported that Philippot and Miller were killed during a confrontation. Lawmen allegedly recovered a Smith & Wesson pistol with 2 9mm rounds and a shotgun at the scene. The Independent Commission of Investigations has since launched a probe into the incident. St. Anne's Bay Mayor urges food establishments to comply with health regulations. Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Michael Belnavis, is urging the operators of food establishments to comply with health regulations, warning of consequences for those deemed non-compliant. Speaking with the news following the St. Anne Municipal Corporation's monthly meeting in St. Anne's Bay, St. Anne on September 12, Belnavis said the Ministry of Health and Wellness's regulations include obtaining food handlers' permits, maintaining adequate sanitation facilities, and paying close attention to serving areas and the immediate surroundings. Belnavis emphasized that the food handlers have a responsibility to their customers to operate above board and ensure that patrons are not exposed to health hazards. He warned that there are penalties for those found in breach of these regulations, including hefty fines and the closure of establishments. The mayor cited the ministry's recent closure of a popular Portland eatery as an example of the resulting consequences for non-compliance. It is crucial for food establishments to prioritize the health and the safety of their customers by adhering to the regulations set by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. We cannot compromise on the well-being of our residents and the visitors. I urge all food handlers to take these regulations seriously and ensure that their establishments are in full compliance, he emphasized. Belnavis said additional information on the regulations is available on the Health Ministry's website or at the local health department. We want everybody to be happy while earning an honest living. This is not about pressuring anybody or coming down hard on anybody. We have a responsibility to protect the public, and we simply want people to do what is right, he underscored. Lawyers say self-defense a likely reason for Erwin High murder case dismissal. The family court's decision last week to free a teen of murder charges following the stabbing death of a schoolmate earlier this year has triggered a wave of criticism. But some seasoned attorneys at law contended that the decision was likely grounded in proper legal procedure. The former accused, who was 14 years old when 15-year-old Irwin High School student Ranil Plummer was fatally stabbed in the chest on April 18, was represented in court by Maurice McCurdy. Peter Champagne Casey told the news that the prosecution would have had to prove two key things in order to sustain the matter before the court. The first ingredient is not just the physical act of the stabbing. You would have to prove that, at the time it was done, it was not done in self-defense. In other words, it is not a murder if there is clear evidence that at the time of the killing, the person acted in self-defense, and it may very well have been a situation where the statements that were collected by the police and the persons who witnessed the incident spoke to the aspect of self-defense, said Champagne. Also, it is a case where the person who is alleged to have committed the offense was not properly identified, and there is no means of identification. In either instance, I am absolutely sure that the judge would be guided not by what an attorney is representing before the court to be, but the judge would apply the principles of law in relation to the present case to be determined, Champagne added. Fellow attorney at law Leonard Green likewise pointed out that a murder case, which is usually tried by a jury, must determine what the defendant's motivation was at the time of the killing. One of the major defenses to murder is self-defense, that the accused person acted in self-defense, and that is usually the main element in cases of that nature. What you look at is the evidence that exists against him. Did he do it unlawfully or maliciously, or did he have intended to kill? Those are the things that the court will look at to determine whether there is a case to be had, said Green. Police reports said that on the fateful day, Plummer was approached and attacked by a group of students after exiting the grounds of the St. James-based school. During the assault, which reportedly stemmed from an earlier altercation, Plummer was stabbed in the chest by the 14-year-old male student and was transported to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he later died. Last week, Plummer's mother, Stacey Dunkley, expressed dismay that the accused was not given any custodial time for her son's death. However, shortly after the tragedy, McCurdy had noted that his client was not the one who brought the knife into the incident. He also told the news that he would be asking the Director of Public Prosecutions to discontinue the case, as his client was the one that was attacked and called upon to defend himself. Such court outcomes are not new. In December 2011, Maxine Tugwell Brown was freed of a murder charge because the required elements were absent. She was acquitted of her husband Junior Brown's 2019 murder in the St. James Circuit Court after her attorney argued that she stabbed Brown in an act of self-defense during a fight instigated by the deceased. He further said that the prosecution failed to prove Tugwell Brown intended to kill her husband, with whom she reportedly had a history of domestic abuse. In another case, Joyce Leslie was acquitted in the St. Thomas Circuit Court in December 2018 following her murder trial in relation to her husband, Jamaica Defensive Force Private Andrew Leslie, who went missing on October 11, 2008. The prosecution argued that Leslie paid a man $30,000 to kill her husband and that she discussed the killing with a spiritual healer who reportedly instructed her to write it on a piece of paper. However, her lawyer, Hensley Williams, submitted that no evidence was produced to show where and how Private Leslie died, and a handwriting expert testified after analyzing a copy of the paper on which Mrs. Leslie reportedly wrote the information for her spiritual healer that it could not be conclusively determined that she wrote it. In the meantime, Champagne expressed discomfort at the term thrown out being used to refer to the dismissal of cases without convictions, as in the case of Plummer's death. I have a difficulty sometimes with the terminology of cases being thrown out. It connotes a different meaning that does not go well in terms of an appropriation of the justice system and the principles of justice, said Champagne. I do not want the impression to be created that the matter was just called up and thrown out based on what the lawyer said. Certain principles of law would have been considered, and the result being what it is would be based on the absence of certain critical ingredients needed to formulate a charge going forward in terms of the offense of murder, he added. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.